Today I'm here at the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno to interview the one and only Sarah Clatterbuck. Sarah was raised in San Jose, California by her parents, who both worked and volunteered at a local church. In her college, she majored in advertising at the University of San Francisco and went on to pursue a master's degree in information science at San Jose State University. She has been involved in the tech field for almost 20 years now, making a name for herself and working at many notable companies and organizations. For the past 6 years, she has worked at LinkedIn as the Senior Director of Engineering, and in April 2018, she moved to Zurich to work as the Director of Engineering at YouTube and Alternative Monetization. Sarah has made it her mission to advocate for those with physical and cognitive disabilities who have challenges in using products, and in doing so was named by Forbes as America's Top 50 Women in Tech 2018 and World's Top 50 Women in Tech 2018. Today I'm sitting down with Sarah to spread her inspirational message and journey to girls all over the world. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today to share your inspirational story with so many girls all over the world. I'm really excited to hear about your message, and hopefully girls can gain a role model from you as well.
Awesome, I'm looking forward to it.
So today we know that you are part of many notable organizations like Apple, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and you have also held many important roles like the Senior Director of Engineering. And I think for many girls that is super inspirational and very motivational as well, because we all want to be where you are one day. But I want to start by talking about your childhood a little bit, because primarily our audience are young women and females and girls. So what were your interests at an early age?
Yeah, so generally I was really interested in a few things: sports and art and math. And I actually started out really loving football. That was the first sport I fell in love with, much to my parents' chagrin. But then my grandfather actually encouraged my passion for it, and he bought me a jersey and a football and a helmet and told me, like, go play with the boys in the neighborhood. And I actually think that was smart, because I developed a skill of being in a male-dominated area and like thriving, enjoying it.
So you mentioned that you were involved in football and engineering at a young age, but what was that defining moment or that experience which kind of got you interested in computer science and made you decide that that was something that you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting story. My junior year of undergrad, a professor recommended me for an internship at a software startup, and that startup was actually making software for designers. And I spent a few months there, and then they converted me to full-time at the company, and I was doing tech support, and they decided that it would be useful for me to take some programming classes to understand how the software was actually working under the hood. And so I went to those classes and just really enjoyed the problems that I was solving, and really fell in love with programming, and thought that working in that field, working on this emerging consumer internet, would be a pretty exciting thing to do.
Wow. I think initially you had mentioned that your great-grandfather kind of basically supported you and got you interested in engineering, but did you have any female role models or mentors who supported you in your endeavors at an early age in your career, or early stage in your career?
I eventually went to work for a startup in Silicon Valley as an engineer, and that's where I actually first had female role models. So the company that I joined had basically a female head of engineering, a female head of product. My direct manager and my director were both women, and so I think all of those women were basically role models for me and encouraged me to keep learning.
And I think that's definitely a very unique experience, because on a day-to-day basis you don't see that many women all in one group in computer science. So
no, it's incredibly rare, and I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought it was normal, and then I think after I left that job and went to my next job, and then the one after that, I realized actually that was quite a special thing to have so many strong female role models early in my career.
And that might even be sort of a blessing because you kind of build that confidence at an early stage and you're able to be supported by other women in the career.
Yeah.
While you're transitioning from advertisement to computer science and information sciences, what sort of obstacles did you face with the inequality between males and females, and how were you kind of able to adapt to these problems or these obstacles which you faced?
Ultimately, I didn't really notice that being a woman in the industry was a challenge at that time because I was surrounded by women.
Right.
And this was actually something I noticed kind of as my career developed and as I started going up in the ranks, the number of women present gets fewer and fewer. And so then I realized that this was something that I wanted to work on kind of as my career became more advanced.
So recently this past year, you started working at YouTube in alternative monetization as the director of engineering. And YouTube has so much free content. So how does YouTube strive to make money, and can you tell us a little bit about your role in alternative monetization?
Just this last year, we started what we call alternative monetization, and that's the area where I'm working. And the big goal here is economic opportunity for creators. So we want to help them run a sustainable creating business on YouTube beyond advertising. So we want to help them diversify their revenue streams, give them different ways to have businesses that allow them to interact with their fans and also earn money on the platform.
Right. And I think a lot of us want to know, what are some of the perks or benefits of working in computer science, maybe at some of the big tech companies like YouTube or Google or Apple or LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a little bit over pampered at times. This kind of speaks to the supply and demand for engineering talent for sure. But we get meals on campus.
Wow, that's nice.
It is. It's super nice, and the food is amazing. We have a lot of benefits around wellness, like massage discounts. We have a gym on campus that we can use, and basically we also get a lot of continuing education opportunities, so leadership courses, any kind of technology that you can imagine that Google uses, there are classes on it. And so like if I want to go learn modern C++, I can literally take weeks of courses that are taught by other Googlers who are experts.
And I think that's also super important because technology is always changing, so that's definitely beneficial for all the software engineers.
Absolutely, very important.
So as you're advancing through your career, how are you able to maintain a balanced work life? Because I think many girls wonder how they're going to be able to pursue a career in computer science while also be able to maintain some sort of personal life and maybe even start a family of their own.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two different phases to this. So at the entry level in computer science, I think software engineering jobs are actually quite accessible for everyone and a really great career for having work-life balance. So basically you're maybe coding 4 or 5 hours a day, you go to a few meetings. Unless you have an on-call rotation, then maybe you're not really expected to work out of normal hours. And you can have a really nice balance, and it's not a physically demanding job, it's more mentally demanding, so you don't have to have any great feats of strength to succeed. But then I think later in your career, as you advance and maybe the demands seem higher on your time because you're expected to take meetings at odd times or whatever, I've found that I sort of have to have my non-negotiables, I call them, that I basically make time for in my life. And for me, that's making time for physical fitness, for making sure I have time to go cycling and hiking. And those are actually also really good for my mental well-being as well, being outdoors. And then I say sort of my spiritual fitness as well, so having time to meditate and reflect and pray and stuff like that. And those are the non-negotiables.
And I think that's definitely super important. It looks like you kind of mastered that to some point. And I think that's going to be really inspiring for some girls who might have that challenge, who might think that they'll have that challenge in the future. And it also shows that when there's a will, there's a way, and you kind of show that yourself. And one thing which I thought was very touching about your story and was very inspirational was your message, which is, you know, people who have cognitive or physical disabilities with using products. So can you talk to us a little bit about why you chose for that to be your mission and why that really resonated with you?
Yeah, so when I was at Yahoo, the product I worked on, we did a lot of accessibility work, and we had a great accessibility team lead named Victor. He's actually a blind engineer, and he basically taught me the fundamentals of digital accessibility. And so then from then on out, I just started noticing all these different products maybe weren't really usable by people who are using assistive technology, or people with disabilities, or even people with temporary disabilities, like if they've sprained their wrist or something like that. And so I started advocating for teams within my companies to really work on accessibility, making sure our products are universally usable, and it kind of grew from there.
And I think it's really nice to see that you're using something which you love to do to help people around the world. And it kind of leads me into my next question about what advice would you give to those girls who might not have a predominantly female mentor or role model, or how do you think that they can find one?
So, I mean, I think that this is the age where we're all interconnected. We have social media. Anyone who has a phone has access to like limitless information and connection. And so I would say for girls, if you think that you don't have the support around you, like seek it out online, find other girls who share your interests, and find knowledge that you can develop online as well.
I think that's really good advice. I think a lot of girls are going to take that to heart who might not be able to find a mentor or a role model currently. And you are a woman of so many accomplishments which do not go unknown. From Forbes' World's Top 50 Women in Technology 2018 to number 13 of the most powerful female engineers in the world 2017 to number 22 of the most powerful women engineers in the world. And your accomplishments definitely don't go unknown. So how does it feel to be recognized for all the contributions which you have made? And how does your status provide you with a platform which allows you to spread positive messages to girls all over the world?
Yeah, so I think it's always kind of surprising and an honor to be recognized in that way. Usually I'm just sort of focused on my work and what I'm trying to do both in the industry and at my company, and then it's like somehow an article will come out and it's always like a really big surprise and truly an honor. But I think the most exciting thing about it is that those lists have given me an opportunity to have a voice about bringing more women into technology, about creating accessible technology, about creating equal access to the field. And so I think that's what I really appreciate about being included in those lists. And even just last month I was able to go to the UN and talk about accessibility, which was really exciting.
That's so cool. Well, I'd like to do a quick game with you.
Sure.
Called Bowl of Bytes. So I have a bowl of some fun questions, and maybe you can just answer them about yourself.
Sounds good.
Okay. So here's the bowl that we have. So.
All right. Let's see here. If you could talk to the president, what would you talk about? I mean, I think you know my two areas of passion, right? So I would talk about equal access to opportunity in the technology field, about making our society accessible to everyone, and that not everyone today has equal opportunity, and like how can we fix that?
That's definitely something that's really important that we need to work on.
What is your favorite cuisine or dish? So my favorite cuisine is Mexican. I grew up in California, so California Norte, and I really like carnitas in particular.
All right, last one.
Last question. So this says to describe yourself in 3 words. So I would say I'm adventurous, I'm persistent, and I'm determined.
Nice. Thank you for playing our game. So to end our interview, I have one final question for you. And my question is, what advice would you give to middle and high school girls who might be thinking of pursuing a career in computer science, or maybe don't know what they want to do yet?
Yeah, so I think my message for those who don't yet know what they want to do is try a lot of different things. Don't be afraid to try things that are outside of your experience or your community or your circle of friends and family. And so, play with technology, try out different careers, talk to people from different careers and see what might interest you. And then for those who have already decided that they're interested in computer science, I would say be fearless, be willing to try things, to take risks, and to basically make mistakes, because in programming, in computer science, we actually learn from our mistakes. And if you don't take any risks, if you're always worried about trying to do something the perfect way the first time, you're not going to be great in the field.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your words of advice. I think everyone here is going to walk away with some really important knowledge and a really nice message. And thank you so much for inviting me here to the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno. I had a great time.
Thanks for coming. It was fun talking to you.